Hey guys, Dr. Decks here. Today, I want to talk to you about a brand new table saw that we just got made by DeWalt. Model number DWE7491. It is a 15 amp corded 10-inch job site table saw. It comes with a rolling stand, but we ditched that and put it on a cut hub instead, because that's how we roll. So if you like this video today, don't forget to the subscribe button. You like that? Don't forget to the subscribe button. You like that? The subscribe button. One more time. The subscribe button. And hit that bell icon if you want to be notified when we're putting out new content. We basically have the same model of this saw, except that I dropped a 6x6 on it from 10 feet up and it crushed the table. So this one has a nice flat table, so I'm really excited about that. And the one huge improvement that I really like about this saw is that it has a power brake now, so when you turn it off, it stops immediately. So check this out. I'm gonna turn it on real quick. So before, that would sit there and spin and spin and spin, and you're like sitting here waiting for it, and like you might sneeze or something and buck the board, and then it blows out on you or something like that. It's kind of nuts. So I thought I'd go over a few of the features of the saw, and actually read the directions this time and learned a couple things while I was at it. So I thought that would be kind of cool to show you guys that as well. So it has onboard storage for even the fence, which I had no idea. There's a fence lever that locks it up and also opens it up, so I can adjust the fence, and then that locks it down into place. But the fence is completely removable. You undo these two levers right here, open it up, and now it's completely loose. And then the fence will actually store on board right under here. If you pull it on that, and then you just lock these in like this, and like this, and then the fence stays on board with the saw stowed out of the way. So when we're putting it in our job site trailer, we can actually stow the fence away. And then we can actually stack other tools on top of it without damaging the fence, because the last fence, we broke it because we constantly left it on top of the table saw. There's an adjustable height right here, so that raises and lowers your blade. And there's also a lever that adjusts the angle if you want to rip at an angle. So most of the time we're ripping on a 0-degree angle. There's occasions where we might need to rip something at a 15, 20, 30, all the way up to a 45-degree angle. That comes in handy. Easy blade swap. You basically unlock this, put your finger in there, pull the plate, and then there's a nut on both sides. And there's onboard tools as well for blade changes. There's also some micro adjustments on this plate that you can raise and lower it in case it happens to catch or it feels a little tall. Like this corner right here feels just a tidge tall. I might drop that down a little bit just so it's flush with the table. Something else, there's a removable riving knife, which what this does, this part right here, it helps keep your materials from pinching on themselves and pinching on the back of the blade, which is it creates blade burn. So if I take this lever right here on the side of the saw and I open it up like this, I can pull that right out. You can also pull it out and put in an anti-kickback device that's on board with the saw as well. I hardly ever use that, but it's a great, if you're ripping miles and miles and miles of thin trim, an anti-kickback device is not a bad thing to do. It also has a slot for feather boards, and it has an onboard gauge for cross-cutting. So you can stick that in there, like so, and then you can do all your cross-cutting right here in the groove. There's two grooves, so you can actually, what I like about it is it locks in, so it doesn't come out unless you want it to. So you can take this, slide it in here. You might have to move this fence out of the way. And there's a full 20, I think it's 24.5 inches or 25 inches of clearance. So you can run this on either side of the blade if you want. So I like how that locks in like that. And that it's on board is pretty cool. So I'm gonna put this back in. All I gotta do, pull this lever. It's pretty spring-loaded, pretty heavy-duty spring-loaded. That drops in there, now it's locked. I leave that in. The only time I take this out is if I have to plunge cut something. If I'm trying to do a notch out of a long board and I don't want to rip all the way through it, I'll pull the riving knife so I can drop my board onto the blade and not maybe necessarily cut the entire thing. So we talked about the power stop. Again, that's a great, and there's also a safety lockout feature. If you have small kids and that kind of thing, you can go like that and they won't be able to start the saw. That's not a bad feature if you got young kids running around in your shop and you don't want them to cut their fingers off. Okay, so on the back side of the saw, there's an exhaust port for your sawdust. Now, a lot of guys will run some kind of a containment system where they're sucking all the sawdust into a blower or something like that. We actually don't do that. We just take the side plate off and let all the sawdust exhaust out the side of it. With our wet treated lumbers, it doesn't work so good. This goes back in here like that. Is that how it goes? Yep. And then here's your two wrenches to make your blade changes. They're right here as well. So everything was well thought out as far as on board. And then on this side of the saw is where you have your anti-kickback plate that you can put, and also hook dust collection too as well. And probably the most important accessory that comes with this saw is right on the fence, a push stick. I use these religiously. I recommend you always use one. If you're trying to push anything through in this yellow zone, always use a push stick. All right, guys, how do I know? Let me show you how I know how important a push stick is. This thumb had 30 stitches. Almost lost it, because this used to be my push stick, but it's not my push stick anymore. This is, okay? All right, so that's my rule of thumb. If I have to push something through in this yellow zone, I always use a push stick. If I'm ripping something full width, wide, I'm pretty comfortable doing this. But if I'm in this yellow zone, I'm using a push stick. Once was enough for me. I don't need it twice. All right, so we're gonna adjust the height of the saw. And I thought we'd do a little ripping for you, just to show you the function of the saw. I mean, this is what I use it for mostly. Let me grab some safety glasses. All right, so always wear your safety glasses. And for those that want to keep their hearing protection is not a bad thing. The table saw can be a little loud. It's a little late for me, but you know, let's set a good example by wearing a little bit of hearing protection while we're at it, okay? Can you hear me okay? All right, let's do this. Let's say I need to make a couple 2-inch wide pieces. There is an indicator on the saw right here that says 2 inches, but I never trust these. Sometimes they get out of whack. Some guys can set these up where they're completely trusting it. As this saw gets old and full of sawdust and it gets rained on and all that, that may become not so accurate. So I always just use my tape measure and make sure that I'm on point with 2 inches. There we go. Doesn't take that much longer, right? And because look, I'm in the yellow, I'm using this guy, okay? All right, here we go. Don't you love how fast that thing spools down? I just absolutely love that. Okay, so that's 95% of the time, that's what we're doing with this job site table saw, is ripping stuff down. But just for all you crosscutters out there, let's go ahead and grab our crosscut tool. I don't know what the official name of this thing is, but this works for me. And let's just see if we need to cross-cut some boards on the table saw. I mean, that's what a chop saw is for, in my opinion. But maybe you're cross-cutting something larger than 12-inch stroke or something like that, and you just need something bigger. Or you're just setting up multiple repetitive cuts, and you could set this up where maybe you use the fence as your depth gauge or something like that. I don't know if I do that because it might pinch in between here and here, and then the pieces might fly. So I don't know if I would do that. If you're gonna set up a gauge, you should set up a gauge, clamp it somewhere on your saw here, butt this into it, and then move forward past it so you're not pinching this piece of material as it goes through. But just for giggles, let's make a cross cut on it real quick, or do a couple. You can see it is probably quicker than using a chop saw and trying to do that repetitive down cut. So maybe an effective way for somebody just doing multiple rips and cuts that way, but probably not our #1 go-to for what we do, but that's okay. There's different ways to skin a cat, right? Okay, so there's a quick tutorial on this saw. If you have any other questions or you think I missed something, or I don't know about the RPMs and all that, I know this retails at Home Depot for around $599 or something like that with the stand. You might be able to get it for less without the stand. Leave a comment below and leave a question below, and I'll try to answer those in a timely fashion. Thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate you. Don't forget to click that subscribe button, hit the bell icon, and like this video. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.